Welcome to the Live Up Podcast, where we watch the movies from our youth to see if they live up. Quick note on how this will go. We will review, discuss, and score the movie in question to see if it lives up to us as adults and whether it lives up to kids today. I'm Jess Latterman.
And I'm Amanda Treat. On today's episode, let's get ready for the holiday season with a movie about Thanksgiving travel that includes every possible mishap except a government shutdown grounding 10% of the flights.
Oh my God.
From 1987, it's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. As a side note, Jess just got back from this trip, and I will be traveling to Europe in 2 days. We'll be doing the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and I have to come back the Sunday before Thanksgiving. Do you think I'll make it?
I think I'll make it.
So, Jess, what is your history with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
This isn't one that I watched all the time. I think I've only seen it once or twice. I've certainly seen it enough to sort of understand any cultural reference to it. So I have enough of a memory, but I have no specific nostalgia for this one. But I did watch this with my kids, so I'll pepper their feedback in there. And we watched it on Tubi, so it had commercials, and I feel like that's as God intended for watching this.
I watched it on Roku, but there was only a commercial at the beginning, and then they let me ride the rest of the way.
There were so many commercials that it was like, oh my God, I could like make a whole bowl of popcorn on this. But I'm like, this is how this movie from the 80s, this is how these types of movies are meant to be watched. Yeah. So it felt like I mirrored the experience.
All right. Quality 1980s viewing.
Quality. What about you?
I have no history with this movie. I'd never seen it before, ever.
I forgot that you had never seen it. So this is an interesting one where neither of us have a particular nostalgia for it because typically at least one of us has lines memorized.
Yes, there's usually a cheerleader for whatever movie we've picked. And this time it's kind of a blank slate. So we'll see what happens. I was aware of the part where Steve Martin loses his shit at the car rental counter. I think that's probably just iconic pop culture. You can't get around. But otherwise, I came in pretty blind on this film. I knew who was in it. I didn't know it was a John Hughes movie, but my God,
I didn't either.
This is quite a John Hughes movie. Like every actor from every other movie he's made is in this.
I know.
And
all the cameos, just like every scene, I was like, that's the guy from Ferris
Bueller. It almost got distracting, right? It was like, oh, hey, that's Ben Stein in the airport.
Yes.
Bueller,
yes.
And I would love
Bueller guys in it.
Love it if some of these characters were actually crossover characters. Actually, some of them are crossover characters from other John Hughes movies, but I would love it if all of them were. We'll talk about this. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, Jess, would you like to give a plot summary of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Yeah. This is travel anxiety masquerading as a buddy comedy. And it's a very specific non-smartphone type of travel anxiety.
God, yes.
And maybe that's just my adult viewing of it because I'm like, oh, dear God, you need to get to the airport. Or the train doors are going to close. Get on the train.
End scene.
So much anxiety.
Yeah, those train doors on the L train at the final scene.
They're open for fucking ever.
How are they holding the train for him? No way. No.
So I have like anxiety about that.
Well, I did a little bit of research and got a hold of an early copy of the script just to see what checked out. So
did John Hughes write it too?
Did. So here go the nerdy notes. John Hughes.
Here they come. I didn't read them in advance.
He wrote this based on a flight home that got, and he lives in Chicago. His flight home got diverted to Wichita. And it took him 5 days to get home from Wichita to Chicago.
So it's based on like a real thing that happened. Oh, that's funny.
The second, because it has so many scenes that get echoed in Home Alone, and you can tell John Hughes hates air travel and probably hates Chicago O'Hare deeply. I mean, I hate Chicago O'Hare deeply. It's my least favorite airport in the whole effing world. So yeah, it took him 5 days to get home from Wichita, and it only took him 3 days to write the first draft of this script. And
not a good sign.
Well, no, it is, because John Hughes is notorious for this, or I'm using the word notorious. I'm secretly jealous. If I could knock out a screenplay that went on to be like everyone's favorite movie for a holiday, or The Breakfast Club. He did The Breakfast Club in 3 days.
Did he really? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, like he knocks out screenplays, and I am so mad / jealous of that, because it does not take me 3 days. It takes me months, and he is
I didn't realize this really happened to him.
Yeah. So His first draft of the script came in at 147 pages, and because
Oh,
one
shit.
page of screenplay is usually 1 minute of screen time, it was over 2.5 hours long.
Oh, that would have been painful.
And the original cut of this movie was over 3 hours long, with even more
No.
travel mishaps.
I would have had a heart attack from anxiety if.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But also
No.
padding it out, like he did with The Breakfast Club. He had this very lengthy script, but he also told the actors, you're feeling the characters, ad lib whatever the heck you want. And unlike the kids in The Breakfast Club, can you imagine saying that to John Candy and Steve Martin? Like, they just went off the rails.
I was wondering how much was just action and they just do their
like
thing.
the scene in the taxi with Doobie.
Who is the cop from Home Alone?
He is the cop, the donut cop from Home Alone. Yeah, we were all just like, oh, I know this guy from somewhere.
Yeah.
Another John Hughes movie. That scene was 3 lines of dialogue as written in the script and like half a page.
Okay.
And they said when they finished shooting it, it was 4 hours worth of content that they had to edit down because the 3 of them in the car just went in so many different directions. All right. So then there's outtakes that are on DVD releases or YouTube if you want to see John Candy and Steve Martin just going and going and going. And it
I wonder if some of that is funnier than the movie.
It is, but there's so much of it and it has nothing to do with the movie that they just had to make some decisions and cut it.
We'll sort of get into this, but I actually felt like a lot of the bits went on too long.
And that was the result of good editing because it could have been so much worse. Like if they just kept it.
I mean,
kept the cameras
kept
rolling.
it tight.
It did lead to some, it's not quite, no, it is continuity errors because there's moments like when their hotel room gets robbed by that random kid who picks the lock with the knife. There was a whole scene that led up to why that person is robbing them and they just cut that. And so now you have this weirdo just breaking into their hotel room. It's like, what the hell is that about?
Yeah, it was kind of a left turn.
It really was a weird, it left me thinking like, was there some crime wave in the 80s where people were using knives to pick hotel rooms and rob people while they were asleep? Is this referring to something? But it was a scene that got cut where they ordered a pizza. That was their pizza delivery guy and they didn't tip him.
Oh.
So he came back and took his own tip. We're still doing some nerdy notes here. In this version of the script that I saw, so I didn't see the 147 page one, I saw a 129 page one, so that's still over 2 hours long.
Yeah.
They had all these scenes that John Hughes had written in that I am really glad they edited out or cut out. One of them included they overshoot Chicago in the rental car before they destroy it. So they're actually in Wisconsin when the cop pulls them over and is like, you can't drive this. But they've gone past Chicago and like it's just like, okay, we don't really need to do that.
We don't need to backtrack here.
You
it's
still need to be
long.
trying to get to Chicago. We don't have to go to like almost Canada. They had the ending was Del following Neil on the train instead of Neil having like a realization something was wrong with him and circling back to get him. And then it made it seem like Del does this every year to a completely different person, that he kind of stalks people for the holidays, which
that's weird.
Yeah, it just takes kind of the niceness out of the ending because the ending is really nice and this is more of a stalker thing.
If folks don't remember, and it's heavily hinted at, John Candy's character keeps talking about his wife, and you sort of, as an adult, you suspect along the way that the wife is no longer with us or they're divorced or something. So anyway, they finally go their separate ways in Chicago, and Neil is happy to be rid of him, but then he realizes that Del has nowhere else to go for the holidays, and he circles back and takes the train back to the station and invites him to Thanksgiving. So it does have that sweet ending.
This version, Neil never has a realization that he should be helping Del.
A moment of redemption, I think, a little bit for Neil's character.
And then finally, a bit that they cut was like many scenes of Neil's family gathering for Thanksgiving without him. And there was a scene where his wife is on the phone with, at the beginning, his other coworker was like, oh, don't get on that flight, get on this flight. That the two wives are comparing notes, and that Neil's wife thinks that he lied to her because the other husband got home on time, and how come he didn't get home on time?
They sort of hint at that a little bit, that the wife is a little suspicious.
Yeah,
like, no,
they had a whole phone call, and then she starts the Thanksgiving meal without him because she just assumes he's not coming. And so you got all the kids sitting around the table, and like they're they're halfway through Thanksgiving by the time he gets home. So I'm glad they cut that too, even though the wife doesn't do very much in this film.
No, it's not meant to. It's really a buddy film.
Yeah.
I know that we ding movies sometimes for not having strong female characters, but in this particular case, the two leads were the buddies.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I did not see in the version of the script I read, but I have heard rumors is in an earlier version, also did not test well with audiences because it's disgusting. But there was a version where Del finally pops his trunk open and the mummified corpse of his wife is in there. And they've been carrying that around the whole movie.
So because it had been so long since I'd seen it, and I've only seen it once or twice, I kind of thought that was what was in the trunk. I have to be honest.
They filmed that. Yeah. And then test audiences were like, ew, no, like,
ew. It's just weird.
You know, it's like a quick, shocking joke, but not.
Yeah. But I am left with questions. Like, does he not have a house? Like, why was he trying to get to Chicago in the first place?
This script, he just goes from hotel to motel and he's drifting around. And actually, there was a scene they cut where he does open the trunk and it's all the things from his house from when his wife was alive that he kept. So there's like a lamp and like some of her clothes and some silverware and random house things in there. And he's just kind of like moving his memory of that house around with him. It was kind of brutal to read. It was just sad and not in a...
That sounds sad.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound sweet.
Like, it just sounded sad. Really pathetic. Like, wow, this guy needs to be in counseling. So I'm glad they cut that out too. Will say, I read that John Candy and Steve Martin each said that this is their favorite film that they ever started. So they had a lot of fun making it.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean,
maybe they just had a real good time.
They must have had a lot of
together.
Fun. Yeah.
I'm not sure it's the best film I've seen them in.
No, individually, there's other films I'd rather watch each of them separately in. But so let's talk about these two main characters and then maybe a few other of our favorite side characters who pop through here. The first character, who is sort of our tour guide through this movie, he's sort of the straight man, but not really because it's Steve Martin. We have Neil Page, who is an ad... What would you call him? He's like a madman
He's
guy.
Vaguely like, I work in marketing. Yes. It almost doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's a 1980s family dad. I mean, that's how
working in advertising. It starts with him in a really boring meeting trying to sell an ad campaign to someone who is very indecisive. And that's funny.
It's funny. It's also like I'd noticed in the, they're in some boardroom. They're all like older white dudes. There's not a screen in sight. It's very of a time.
They're doing a lipstick campaign, which is funny because it's
something that
funny. None of them have any knowledge about.
They're all like old white guys. Yeah.
I really like this character of Neil. I feel like he is saying all the things that I've wanted to say aloud to people who are annoying and don't say because I don't want to get labeled a Karen. But he actually just comes right out and says,
I had this thought in previous episodes. We've seen a lot of movies with Bill Murray in it. And I love Bill Murray. And your complaint, but sometimes you like it, is that Bill Murray always plays a version of Bill Murray.
He does, yeah.
And I feel like Steve Martin in movies from this era always plays a version of Steve Martin. Not always.
There's a couple of movies where he is breaking outside the mold, but people hire him to be Steve Martin.
They hire him to be Steve Martin. He's sort of like an uncanceled Woody Allen is how I think about it. But like like the neuroses, Yes, he's like the neurotic whatever. He's much funnier than Woody Allen. So
he is definitely funnier than Woody Allen. Oh no,
no. I ruined him for you, didn't I?
I don't like that comparison at all. I think he's so much funnier.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's his character from Only Murders in the Building that is very Woody Allen
that's
to me.
Like Woody Allen.
But I think he's a pretty docile version of Steve Martin here. Like there are times where like Steve Martin excels at physical humor.
Yeah.
He loses his mind or something, like in movies like Parenthood, which we haven't done here, or Father of the Bride. Like he's pushed to a point. Yeah. In this one, I feel like when he gets pushed to that point, it feels less funny and less explosive.
So are you talking about
other
the
films?
Rental car scene?
Yeah, there's that. I didn't really like him that much in this. I thought he wasn't as funny as I've seen in other things with him in it. I thought his humor was kind of mean. And I think my kids didn't like him either. Like when When he's finally like losing his mind, it's a ridiculous and funny sequence of anxiety producing events where he and John Candy end up in the hotel room together because the plane and there's no flights and there's no hotels and they end up in this seedy motel. Steve Martin like loses his mind at like snoring or whatever and he like gets up to like leave and then he really unloads on John Candy and tells John Candy how much John Candy sucks. And he goes deep. Like there's deep cuts.
Yeah.
He's like, your anecdotes aren't funny. You're not an interesting person. People don't want to be around you kind of stuff. And both my kids were like, not into it. Like it was mean.
Yes. That's what
And it reminded me of Ferris Bueller where we felt like Ferris was mean.
Another John Hughes movie.
Another John Hughes. So listen, he had moments of redemption and I actually adore Steve Martin and think he's absolutely a brilliant comedian. But in this one, I felt like he was sort of all mean. He really was the straight man, but not in a funny way to me.
His character is spending the whole movie being very annoyed.
And he's so tightly wound.
It is funny to watch him explode in certain scenes, but I do take your point that he is very mean to John Candy's character, Del.
He's mean, and he's even mean to the, when he loses his mind at the car rental lady who is the principal assistant from Ferris Bueller. And we love
McClure.
her.
Welcome back to the podcast.
With the red hair. I mean, she stole scenes in Ferris Bueller.
She stole
100%.
the scene here, too. I mean, this was phenomenal.
She is like...
We'll talk about her in a little bit, because, that was the iconic scene in this movie.
He is such a Karen to her in this that both my kids were just like, that's mean. Like, I just didn't really like his mean streak in this.
That is fair. Yeah. However, in the scene you just referenced about him in the hotel room flipping out, the moment he starts screaming, like, your stories go nowhere, your stories need a point. Like that in my head, I was like, it's a little funny. Certain people in my life, I have been dying to say that too. And I'm too nice to do it, but like if someone starts telling me, I had this dream last night, and then it just rambles off into like nonsense, I just could not care less. These stories that have no point, I would love to yell at someone.
I'm going to get you a t-shirt that says your story needs a point.
Oh, please. I would love that. I would wear that on this podcast.
You should wear it to like your writers group or something.
Yes. I think they've all gotten to the point where I've given them feedback and likewise right back at me. So one thing that I liked that was very out of character for this movie, but then learned how they ended up putting it in at the very end. And we've already spoiled this movie, so if you're this far into listening to the podcast, sorry,
Spoiler
this movie
alerts.
came out in 1987. Why are you listening to this if you didn't want it spoiled? There's the scene at the end where Steve Martin's character, Neil, gets on the train, says goodbye to Del, and he's on his way home. And he's sitting on the train just looking so happy because he's about to finally get home to his family. He's thinking about Thanksgiving dinner, but then he's also like fondly recalling the adventures they just had. And he just looks so happy. And so that wasn't a scene in the script in the movie. It just reached the point where they realized, this sort of stalkerish script isn't working. The body's in the trunk plot point isn't working. Up. We need to change it. And so they were like, what if we have him realize that Del is in trouble and he goes back? And getting that shot of him on the train is actually some other scene they got rid of. But between takes, Steve Martin was just sitting there looking so whimsically happy. It was the in-between takes footage that they used in the movie of him just like being a happy actor who's like enjoying the movie he's working on.
It's that's funny.
Sitting there smiling, and then they overlay a shot of his wife, and then they, B-roll a shot of the turkey. But yeah, that was just genuine Steve Martin being a happy guy on a train.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I think that, listen, to a modern viewing, that small scene might seem a little cheesy. But for kids, like for my son, who's 8, it does connect the dots for him more. Because then from an 8-year-old's eyes, he then gets fed all the emotions. As an adult, you already suspect that Del has nowhere else to go. But for a kid, they kind of have to be spoon-fed that. Yeah. So I think even though my daughter, who's older, she's 13, she didn't need that. But I think, at age 8, you kind of needed to be spoon-fed the realization. Yeah. And so I was okay with that scene. And it's more fun now that it's happy Steve Martin.
That part's delightful. But I actually didn't mind the scene because it was a change of his character so suddenly that he's been so irritated the whole time, and he's reached this place of, I'm so relieved I'm finally going to be home. And then, ooh, I'm suddenly thinking about someone other than myself.
Yeah.
They didn't need to put a literal light bulb over his head, but I feel like that's what that scene did.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Yeah. All right. Well, we should talk about the other buddy in this buddy travel epic. We have Del Griffith, played by John Candy. Wow, he's so annoying.
Third appearance on our podcast.
He was in Home Alone. What else was he in?
Spaceballs.
Ooh, yes. Good call. Second appearance by Steve Martin, who appeared in very short shorts in the Muppet movie.
Okay. Listeners, go back and listen to our Muppet episode, although the audio quality is probably terrible.
We were so delighted by Steve Martin and his little short shorts with this sassy attitude at Kermit and Piggy's expense. It was fantastic.
Absolutely the best scene of that movie. That's the Steve Martin I want here. That kind of physical comedy.
It was great.
Just for listeners, in the Muppet movie, he has tiny little shorts.
And the skinniest legs. Oh.
And the physical comedy of that scene is just a chef's kiss. Yes. But anyway,
all right.
I digress.
Anyway,
but John Candy.
Welcome back, Steve Martin. Welcome back, John Candy.
See, I actually think he's supposed to be annoying,
yes.
but I found Neil more annoying. I actually found Neil to be mean and annoying, and I had an affection for John Candy here.
I mean, he's a genuinely nice guy, but he, in certain scenes, is so obliviously rude. Like the taking off the shoes on the airplane.
Oh my God. Ultimate travel faux pas.
His washing his underwear and socks in the sink that they're sharing and just leaving it all hanging out. Like, it's just weird, antisocial-ish behavior. But at the same time, he's very endearing and he grows on you. So,
yeah. My kids liked him. Maybe kids are supposed to like him because he's endearing and you kind of want to root for him.
And he seems like a screw up and
yeah.
But he does occasionally pull things off that are
he's a screw up, but like my kids, at least Isaac kind of liked. So his line of work is he sells like shower curtains, which is like kind of funny in and of itself.
It's the shower curtain rings.
Shower curtain
Not
rings.
Even the curtain, just the rings.
Just rings. And there's at some point where they're strapped for cash because they've gotten robbed and credit cards have gotten burnt up in the car, which we'll get into. He starts selling the shower curtain rings as basically like high fashion earrings to people in a train station or bus station.
What we were buying in the 80s. Remember?
Oh my God, it's so 80s.
Friggin' mall jewelry stores selling you hunks of plastic that,
And it's so funny to see these like teenagers basically wearing
shower rings,
shower curtain rings. And it's so 80s. And my kids kind of got a kick out of it because it's just funny.
I saw some video clips of them talking about editing this movie, and they had originally taken out the scene on the train platform where he's trying to get Neil's address to pay him back. And so it was just a series of him basically mooching meals, mooching hotel rooms, and that the audience hated him because they just thought he was like this parasite con man. And then they put that one scene in of them at the platform again being like, give me your address, I'll pay you back. No, it's a gift. Happy holidays. Whatever that exchange is.
Yeah.
And everyone suddenly loved him. So it's just the one gesture of offering to pay made all the test audiences go from hating to loving this character, which is kind of funny.
I mean, I wanted to root for him. My memory of this movie is that I liked him better as a kid. And my kids liked him better. You really feel for him when after Neil lays into him. So you kind of want him to win and have some sort of redemption. So I think that John Candy has this way where he could be vulnerable and funny and annoying all at the same time that makes you like him more.
He really does grow on you, and he's so annoying. I love the idea because I've experienced this when traveling too. When you get thrown in with someone or a group of people that you've never met, you would never choose to hang out with these people.
Yeah, you like bond.
But you're stuck. Yeah. That they suddenly become your lifeline. And I see that happening here, that it portrays two complete strangers who are forced together, having to depend on each other and find the good in each other.
John Candy was definitely annoying, and he was physically annoying.
Yeah.
But I had this uncharitable thought. And the uncharitable thought is when he's like cracking his knuckles and snoring and hogging the bed. Yeah. Seeing all that made me feel really good about being a lesbian. Because I was just like, oh, no, nope. No
You know
thanks.
what that scene made me think of? My sister Emily is a year younger than I am, and when we were kids and it was like a holiday and grandma was staying and we had to share a bed, she used to get so upset if I made the slightest noise, to a point that it was just like,
Of
well, now I'm
course.
just gonna troll you, because she would
Oh,
absolutely
you're
yell at
such
me.
an asshole,
Well, no, because
Treat.
she's the person who's like, you're breathing loudly. And it's just like, I'm not even like asleep. This isn't weird breathing. Like, this is just normal. But the volume of that just was
But
so
now that
annoying.
you said it, I'm gonna breathe even louder.
Yes. Then she got upset. I used to make this noise with my lips. You could pretend you were asleep while making this noise, but it was just like a noise.
Okay.
And I used to do that just to like trigger her and set her off. And man, she was easy to like just send
Just
flying
trigger.
off. Yeah. That was
Oh
a
my
very
God.
deliberate, like, you're being too precious about me breathing. So I'm now going to push all your buttons. And I was thinking about that during this scene, which, okay, can we talk about this scene for a second? It's
Yeah,
like,
set the scene for us.
we have two passengers from an airplane who don't particularly like each other, but they land in the wrong city because of a snowstorm and they've run out of hotel rooms. One of them has access to the annoying John Candy character, Dell, has access to this shitty motel room.
Because he sold them shower
Because
curtains. Shower
yes,
curtain rings.
yes, he everywhere he goes, people love the shower curtain rings. So they are two grown men staying in a hotel room together that only has one bed, and you see them both scan the room
Oh,
and
yeah.
settle their eyes on shit. It's just like,
And it's not a big
it's
bed.
a double bed. Yeah, like and John Candy is not a small guy.
Not a small
So,
man.
but for some reason, John Hughes, in like interviews I saw about this, they're like, yeah, you know how that sometimes happens when you're on a business trip and you have to share a hotel
What do you
bed with your
mean?
coworker? And it was like, no.
That's never happened to
Do
me.
they do that in the 80s? Like, I've never
What?
experienced that.
I've never experienced that.
The shared bed was not a common experience in my knowledge, but it's
No.
very funny.
It is funny. I've certainly rented Airbnbs with coworkers,
Yeah.
but separate rooms.
Yeah. So for an 80s movie, the level of like, we're going to be joking about homophobia, but not actually like mean about it, where they're both like, do you
Yeah.
want to take a shower? Like, I mean, do you want to take the first shower? That they are being awkward
yeah, that was
around each
kind of
other.
funny.
It was a little funny. And then
I
that
laughed.
scene where they wake up and they're like spooning each other, and the "those are not pillows" line, which
Yeah.
very iconic. Those are not pillows. But the two of them
Yeah.
fly out of bed in opposite directions, and they're both so uncomfortable. And Steve Martin, his character, says something like, "Did you see that Bears game last weekend?" And they immediately go to football. Quit talking about
Immediately.
sports.
Oh yeah, let's talk about
Diffuse
sports.
the situation. Talk about the Bears.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually really funny. Like,
I did too. I think it was at Adventures in Babysitting where even like the HBO version had edited out some of the
there was some language in that movie that was a little,
yeah, some of the gay slurs.
yeah, mean.
So in this one, I even wrote down, I was like, actually, I kind of laughed at the homophobic jokes.
Yeah.
It wasn't making fun of gay people. It was more making fun of them.
Yeah, it was played to how uncomfortable they were in this situation,
Yeah.
and it was genuinely
funny.
funny. And also, they
I thought
did
it was
look so
genuinely funny.
cute spooning together.
So cute.
Just like,
My kids thought it was kind of
yeah,
funny too.
oh,
Like
sweet.
they understood it as even a kid's read was like, oh, they think that they're spooning with their wife.
spouse. Yeah,
It was easily read. I don't think my kids picked up on it as mean.
no,
or
because
homophobic or
it
anything.
really it wasn't mean. With John Candy's character, I really love the part where he's getting everyone on the bus to sing. They do a really
It's cute.
great job of portraying, like, here are airport people and how quirky and neurotic they are in one way, and here are the bus people who are so crazy in a completely different way. And you're just
Right.
moving through these spaces of people, but John Candy does kind of pull people into a happier place. And yeah,
It sort of
nice.
gave me Home Alone vibes, the bus scene, because in Home
Oh,
Alone,
all the singing and music and
yeah, all the singing and the music. I even think I caught on the side of the bus. It was the Sheboygan. Like there was some location
There's a
on
Sheboygan
the
reference.
yeah, there was something that I was like, oh my god, that is like a Home Alone script reference or Home Alone referenced it.
We need to talk about how this movie just quietly turned into a scene in Home Alone.
It did.
I genuinely want this to be the same character as like John Candy was playing in Home Alone. It's a through line. He comes away from this Thanksgiving and he is so happy that he decides he's going to join a polka band. And then a few years later,
this epilogue.
He gets stuck in a different airport. Where are they? In Pennsylvania or something, where he picks up Catherine O'Hara's character. And yeah, that it's just the same character who has evolved into the Polka King of the Midwest. Like, I want that.
I would love that. This is like sort of, I know we've been mostly pretty positive here. I was thinking about that in the bus scene because I wanted more of that kind of fun John Candy, and I assumed everything was ad-libbed kind of situation. I thought his scenes with Catherine O'Hara were actually much funnier, and they were clearly ad-libbed. And again, this is going to Home Alone when he goes into the whole thing about
the child at the funeral parlor.
The funeral parlor, like leaving a kid at the funeral parlor.
We talked about how Catherine O'Hara is clearly holding herself.
Oh, she is just like, I am gonna like laugh.
It is so funny.
Totally. Yeah. I feel like I missed that John Candy here. Like, I didn't think he had the same epic humor level that's like side-splitting laugh. He was funny and he was sweet and you had sympathy for him, but he wasn't as like rip-roariously funny as Home Alone. And I think for this one, it's almost like he was underutilized.
Maybe he made the choice and was told to do it this way, but he leaned into the fact that his character is annoying the other character.
Annoying and also like kind of sad because like, you know, you find out later like his wife had died.
So it's like a dopey annoying. I feel like he was keeping to the character in that way, which is annoying.
Yeah. It's kind of dumb, but my son thought it was kind of funny at some point in the car where Neil, so the Steve Martin character, sort of challenges John Candy, I think, to say like, what's wrong with me? And John Candy starts talking about how Steve Martin plays with his balls too much.
Yeah, which that felt ad-libbed. I don't think that was in the script.
I mean, how could it not be?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like, you play with your balls too much. And they had this whole conversation about it. And he goes into detail about it.
Seemed out of character for Neil, but like, it's funny and random.
Yeah, it's funny and random. And I'm like, this is the John Candy I know. But my son thought that was the funniest thing. He was like, what?
Your son loves a good penis joke. And we salute that.
Loves it. Yes, there was some 8-year-old boy cackling at that small little ad lib.
Yeah. So we spend the entire movie with these two characters on planes and trains and buses and automobiles. And there are specific moments in this journey that stuck out to me as like funnier, or just like caught me off guard. Like, for example, they get picked up by the craziest guy in a pickup truck and they're riding in the back. And the bed of the truck is covered in hay and they're talking, and suddenly a dog shoots out of the hay. That was the biggest jump scare I've seen in any movie this year. And I've watched a bunch of Halloween horror movies. I was like, oh my God, there's a dog in the truck. Like, that totally got me.
All right. And I texted you about this, but what was my son's favorite gag?
Well, I knew immediately. We always call out when there's a nut shot in these movies. And
we do.
Man, Steve Martin's character Neil gets in a little bit of a fight and he gets just kicked or punched. I can't even remember now.
He gets punched, but then he gets dragged off the street by his dick.
Yeah, which isn't explicit, but the entire
no, it wasn't explicit.
The entire next scene, he does all of his dialogue in a slightly different pitch. And
oh my God. And
it was funny.
My daughter and I were like eye rolling a little bit, and Isaac was like, it took him a minute, and he goes, he's talking funny because he got grabbed in the nuts. Oh my God. Favorite gag of the whole movie was the nut grab.
He's becoming an expert on all the 1980s movies.
This is
nut
a
shots,
theme now.
Penis jokes, and things that are going to get him sent to the principal's office in his elementary school.
Totally. Nothing could be as funny as his reaction to the Wayne's World penis jokes, but
except for the penis joke in A League of Their Own.
That's true. Look like a little penis with a hat on.
Potentially the penis joke in Coming to America. Oh, so many penis jokes.
There's so many penis jokes. This man has no penis from Wayne's World is still the best.
I hope your son grows up, goes into academia, gets a PhD in penis jokes from the 1980s
Dick
and 1990s.
Jokes in movies.
He I don't think there is an expert out there currently on this. And at some point, they
I'm
may
raising
need
one.
that. There
Yeah,
could be
they
a
may.
moment where CNN is like, we need a dick joke expert. And they call your son. I'm joking, everyone. There will not
Ugh.
be CNN by the time Isaac is an adult.
This one it's totally PG. It's fine. Kids could watch it. 8-year-old boys will think it's hilarious.
So we have talked about the American movie rating system. This movie is a solid PG, except you can only have the word fuck appear once in a PG-13 movie, and you can't have the word fuck appear at all in a PG movie. This movie has one scene, and there really isn't any other swearing at all in the rest of the movie, but there is one scene where they let Steve Martin say the word fuck 19 times in 1 minute at the rental car agent.
Car rental. Yeah.
And it is hilarious. And John Hughes said, you know what? This was meant to be like a family friendly movie, but I cannot take all of that cursing out of that scene and have it still be as funny as it is. So we're going R, baby.
Is this rated R?
It's rated R because they said fuck.
Oh my God. I didn't even realize
They said fuck more than once. In one scene where he's flipping out at a car rental agency. And again, I feel very seen. This is all the things I've ever wanted to say to a car rental agency, but could not because I don't want to be that Karen. He does it. It's hilarious. It's such a good scene. And like you have the car rental agent land the final line, the final blow of that scene, also with the word fuck in it. It's delightful.
What did she say? She said, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just like loses his mind because basically the car that he was renting just wasn't there. The bus drives away, the whatever commuter bus, and so he has to walk in the snow a mile back to the airport, back to the
which involves like walking on the highway for some reason. Like he is like sliding down a snow patch into moving traffic. It's over the top. But he comes stumbling into the rental car agency to yell at them about the car not being there. And like the cuffs of his pants are soaked and things are ripped. And he's just looks like he's been through a hurricane. And he gets up there and
this is where the travel anxiety comes in. Yeah, he unloads.
Which I've always wanted to do, right?
It's not even like a normal cadence of speech.
Yeah, it's every other word. Like, every other word
every
he
other
says
word.
Is this, fuck, that, fuck, da.
Yeah, and then the car rental lady who is the assistant to the principal from Ferris Bueller at the end is just like, you're fucked, because she doesn't want to help
you're
him,
fucked.
Obviously.
Yeah.
He's such a dick.
Yeah.
I did not realize this was rated R, and as we know,
You've made your kids watch several rated R movies.
I usually like before I watch will like kind of realize, or while I'm watching, and then I'm like, let me look up the rating as I'm watching with my. I mean, Lily's fine; she's 13.
So in other countries, this movie is actually rated PG because they don't care about the swearing. Like, there's no violence, there's no sex. There is just 1 minute of a lot of F-bombs that your kids will get over. Whoops! Once again, Justice.
I know. Oops.
Just as showing the kids in our movie. They're going to be so cultured.
Yeah, it's not like Twins. Yeah. Like when we watched Twins, there was like a lot of sexual innuendo and stuff in that. Yeah.
No, this movie.
That was not here.
This movie is perfectly fine unless you have problems with the F-bombs. All right. Well, speaking of all the F-bombs in that rental car scene, but we've got a couple actors who pop in for cameos that we got to call out.
So many cameos.
We keep talking about Edie McClurg, who was the principal's assistant in Ferris Bueller.
Her role in Ferris Bueller is iconic.
And I think she ad-libbed most of that, too. Them running around the office like they're on fire because they think they've offended the parents or whatever's going on there. Like, she's just delightfully funny.
I could have used a little more screen time from her here, but I understand it was just in and out.
They had her in another movie that John Hughes was directing and handed her this script for this scene, and she read both parts. She did the Steve Martin and the rental agent for John Hughes, just great. Like, see how it goes. And then they just called her out of the blue and they're like, yep, come on in. We need you to do that thing that you did. It was really damn funny. The whole phone conversation she's having at the beginning where she's talking to some family member about like, oh, and mom's bringing the turkey and this and that.
And meanwhile, there's a line a mile long.
And she's just like happily talking about
travel anxiety, guys. Travel anxiety.
It's so funny. But yeah, so she ad-libbed all of that, including the gobble gobble thing that she does. Just so good. On the fly did that. That wasn't in the script. I read that to this day, she's still with us. She still has people come up to her on the street and tell her they want to hear her say, "You're fucked."
That's
But
good.
yeah, of all the movies she did, she gets stopped by random strangers who are like, "Can you please tell me you're fucked?"
That's funny. It got a laugh out of my kids
Yeah.
too, not just because of the f-bombs.
No, yeah, like she basically wins the argument in two
Oh,
sentences or two words, just like, "Well, you're
yeah,
fucked."
it's great. She stole that scene.
Yeah, that's the most iconic scene in this movie. It's so
Yeah,
funny and so relatable too.
so relatable.
I mean, everyone who pops in here for great cameos is probably in another John Hughes movie somewhere,
Oh yeah.
and they're just there for the fun of it. So, right at the beginning, as Steve Martin's Neil is racing to catch the cab, you see him lock eyes with Kevin Bacon across the
I
street
know, that was so
randomly.
random.
Yeah, who was very famous at this point. So it was like, why does he have this non-speaking, like 20-second role in this
No
movie?
dialogue.
Mysterious.
Yeah.
They're racing for a taxi cab, and neither of them end up getting it. But actually, the Kevin Bacon character was an Easter egg. So right before this, they filmed, or John Hughes did the film She's Having a Baby, and Kevin Bacon's the lead in that.
Never saw
I
that.
never saw that either, but what I read is he's playing that character in this movie.
Oh,
And then
okay.
when they get to the airport, one of the whole scenes from She's Having a Baby is taking place just off screen, but you can hear the characters doing all the dialogue from it.
Okay.
So it's this
That's
like
funny.
inside John Hughes joke, like, oh yeah, let's have that movie happening simultaneously as
Like in the same universe.
yeah, that they're
okay, that's cool.
crossing over movies weirdly. So that's why that's in there. It's super weird.
Okay.
And another character who I actually don't know what other John Hughes movies he's in, but there's this character Owen who's got the truck that's going to get them from point A to point B, who is played
The
by
hillbilly.
Dylan Baker. I just watched him in the TV show The Inside Man. I think
He's
that was
a
the name of
character
it.
actor. He's in a ton of
He's
things.
so
Like,
recognizable, and he's so
Yeah.
young in this.
yeah.
They let him improv that whole scene where he like comes up with his pickup truck and he's got his like wife and a million kids and like the dog hiding in the back of the pickup. But that shot of him coughing up phlegm into his hand and then shaking Steve Martin's hand, he actually did that improv on the spot to Steve Martin, and that reaction Steve Martin of like horror, like, oh god, there's like a spit wad in this hand, that was real.
This is where I thought that humor's a little cheap. It's sort of how I think mean humor is cheap sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's not clever. It's just like, let's make fun of hillbillies. It's just sort of dumb.
Dumb, but the one thing jumped out at me because this shot got repeated in Home Alone. They introduced this character with a close-up shot of his boots, and it's the same boots.
Oh, yeah, they did.
From
It's
the
same
guy
as
with the shovel and the
Mhm.
salt in Home Alone. So they absolutely repeated that shot, and it was like, is this John Hughes' way of being like, here is a working man, we're gonna focus on the boots, and then like tilt the camera
Maybe.
up to reveal the man behind the boots. I don't know. I
Yeah.
thought it was kind of interesting, or he apparently thought it was interesting because he used the same shot in Home Alone.
I didn't care for it.
Okay.
So.
All right, we'll move on
Yeah.
from there. We'll move on. Then we have the traffic cop who got fourth billing on the title screen of this movie, Michael
really?
McKean.
Barely in it.
He had a whole other lengthy scene. There was like a courtroom,
Oh.
and they just cut all of it. So he's only in the movie for 90 seconds. He doesn't look like himself at all. I almost thought it
Yeah,
was
it took me a minute. And if folks don't remember who he is, I guess his recent famous role is he was the brother in Better Call Saul, but he's in a million
He's
things.
in a million things. And if you were watching this and had seen This Is Spinal Tap, he's David, the guitarist.
Yes,
and This
epic.
Is Spinal Tap. Yeah.
Yeah, the cameos were crazy.
Again, we said this earlier, but I found it almost a little distracting, the cameos, because
A little bit.
they're doing bits that are inside jokes for John Hughes movies, and it kept pulling me away from what the two main characters are doing. Like, wait, what is that guy doing in here? Why is Ben Stein in the airport? Why are we racing Kevin Bacon to a taxi cab?
I was like, what? And maybe because I don't have as much of a nostalgia for this, so it was like surprising to me.
Yeah. All right. So this movie is inspiring me to ask the question, do you have a worst travel experience that you want to share as inspired by planes, trains, and automobiles?
I think this is where the movie's universally relatable because everyone has that anxiety for something. I mean, I've definitely run through the airport carrying my daughter when she was like 4 because of, we got to get to the plane and we were the last people on the plane situation. I'm going to have to knock on some wood, but I don't think I've had such an epic fail.
I don't think anyone in real life has had this level of epic fail. I feel like you and I actually were in college driving through that snowstorm to our friend Sarah's house where the car stalled out in some snow-ridden parking lot, and it was a push.
It didn't stall out. It couldn't because there was so much snow.
Yeah.
It didn't have enough traction to get going.
So there was pushing, and there was pedaling, and there was a wide open passenger side, and a run, and jump through the door. Yeah, no, I feel like we beat that.
We did do that.
Yeah, we brought that up in our Babes in Toyland episode.
We
didn't have cell phones. We could have died.
I do remember that. Oh my God, I can't believe you and I experienced this together. Yeah. But we were, do you remember going in that exit ramp and like the car was just totally spun out?
Yeah.
And we both at that point were just so done that we both went, wee!
Yeah, no, listeners, if you've never ducktailed a car in a snowstorm, I mean, we were pinballing off the snowbanks on the exit ramp.
We did pinball. It was rural Vermont. There was no danger of dying in that.
There was freeze to death danger, but not crash danger. Yeah.
By the time we were pinballing off the exit,
we were enjoying
like, fuck it.
Yeah. So we bounced off of that, and now we're sliding to this side of the road. Oh, bounce. And we're in the middle again. And
oh my God. I totally forgot about that. That was funny. Have you had a worse travel one than us?
It's not worse in the fact that there was no pushing a car in an abandoned parking lot in a snowstorm.
Okay, it was actively snowing pretty hard.
Yeah, it was a blizzard. I do have a similar story to something like this. My aunt and cousin invited me to meet them in Istanbul, and I'd never been there before, and fun. And we go out but I'm flying back to Boston. They're flying somewhere else. They had a different itinerary. The day I'm meant to fly home, Hurricane Sandy hit the eastern seaboard of the United States, and they shut every airport.
Everything.
And so I'm in the Istanbul airport like, ooh, I'm supposed to be back for work in like a day and a half. And there's no way to get from this part of Europe/Asia to Boston.
Yeah.
So as I'm standing in the line with all of the other people trying to fly to the East Coast of America, I befriended this couple. We teamed up in the line, and we kept going to the help desk as a team, as if we were a family, but I had no idea
who these people were.
Yeah. So it's like, no, we need 3 seats on this plane, preferably together.
I'm not going to Boston without them.
Yeah. So we flew to Amsterdam. Then we flew to London, and it happened to be the weekend there was an NFL game. And I think it was the New England Patriots. So all these people who were trying to get back to Boston coming out of London, like the airport's just full of these dejected looking people in their Patriots gear, like
because they're Patriots fans. That's why they're dejected.
This was still Tom Brady era, but yes.
Oh, I fucking hate Tom Brady.
So add 1,000 more people into the mix trying to get onto these flights from London. At this point, we're like, all right, now we're going to try going over the storm to Montreal with 1,000 other London-based football fans trying to beat us out for the seats. And I remember I got a seat. The wife got a seat, but the husband did not get a seat.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, we're not leaving without him. I've just met these people. And
you're like, they're my family now.
Family. We are not leaving him behind. And so they found a seat for him on the plane. So we flew to Montreal, and then they had actually wisely gotten the travel insurance that I never sign up for. You know, they're like,
no one signs up for that shit.
They were able to cash in their insurance, get a rental car from Montreal, and we drove down through the hurricane.
Wow.
Through the same part of Vermont where you and I were headed when we were pushing that car. Like, we stopped at the rest stop, and I was like, oh, this is where Sarah's family lives here. I know this. Went to upstate New Hampshire where they lived, and I slept at their house that night, and it wasn't, they had like an adult son he was off of college or something, and they're like, sleep in his room, it's great. And so now I'm in their house. My cell phone has died. I call my parents from their landline, and they're like, who the hell are these people? Like, you're just staying in someone's house in like way northern.
You're like their family.
I was like, you don't know what we've just been through together. My God. But like, that was the moment actually when I was finally like, because I hadn't slept on the plane. It's been like a day and a half at this point, and the same thing we see in planes, trains, and automobiles, where he's like, I have not changed my underwear since Tuesday. Like, it was just like icky and I'm in this random college kid's bedroom. I was just like, I really don't know these people. Like, they could have a pit in their basement. I could be murdered in my sleep. I have no idea.
It would be such an elaborate ruse to murder someone. There are easier ways
We
to
were
kill
just
someone.
waiting for a hurricane to pick up some straggler at the Istanbul airport and then go from airport to airport to airport and then drive her to our house. Yes, it's all come together, finally.
3-dimensional chess for those serial killers.
The next day, I helped them drive the rental car down to Concord, New Hampshire, and my mom came up from Boston and picked me up, and I've never seen these people since. But
oh my God,
for
I love
2 days, that was my family.
Totally.
Like, we were not leaving
family.
anyone behind in London.
No.
Amazing. That's what I really connected to in this film, the way those two would never hang out together. That part, I thought it captured really nicely. On that note, do we want to talk about random thoughts? That whole story was kind of random, but there's more, I'm sure.
Yeah. Here's my random thought, which is similar to Ferris Bueller, but not as an extreme. But the whole plot of this movie is only possible in an analog world.
Yes.
You know, there are answering machines. There's no Ubers. There's no GPS. You know, at some point they go the wrong way on the highway.
His wife thinks he's lying because he hasn't called home because he can't. The hotels they're staying in are so cheap they're not allowed to call out to Chicago because long distance calling actually cost money back then.
Yeah.
Actually, delightful side story from this weekend.
Yeah.
So my friend Sally, who we have referenced on this podcast before. Hi, Sally.
Hi, Sally.
Called me very abruptly this weekend and said, "You're about to get a phone call from a mysterious number. Pick it up. It's a Girl Scout troop." And as
that's sweet.
She was hanging up, I was like, "Are they trying to sell me cookies? What are we doing here?" And waited 30 seconds. And sure enough, I get a call. My cell phone said, "Scam likely."
But you answered anyway.
Sally just told me answer the phone, and I answer it. And it was her daughter's Girl Scout troop. And they had found a working payphone.
Oh.
And this troop of girls had never seen one before and did not think this machine was capable of calling a phone. So she paid 50 cents. My God. And they took that phone and passed it from person to person. Like, I answered the phone, hello, and just heard squeals like, ah! It worked! Yeah. They passed it down the line, and I was saying, hello, who is this? And she said they were jumping up and down, just so excited.
That's amazing. Unlike Ferris Bueller, where it's so integral to the whole ruse. Yeah. So it's not totally integral to the ruse. So Ferris Bueller, I literally had to pause and explain what an answering machine was. Yeah. And in this, and even in Home Alone to some extent.
Home Alone, it's the same thing. There's a snowstorm. Yeah. They're trying to call each other. They're not connecting.
Yeah, they can't get through.
All right. I have a bunch of random thoughts, starting with.
Okay.
We've been making comparisons to Home Alone throughout because you can clearly see the origin of some scenes in Home Alone from this movie. My coworker thinks this is a better movie than Home Alone.
Disagree.
I think.
Why?
My coworker, I would say, is more solidly Gen X than we are. So probably grew up with this movie.
A guy.
And as a guy. This is a very guy movie. It's a buddy travel movie.
It's definitely a guy movie. Lots of dick jokes.
A lot of dick jokes. I think he finds the characters and the situation more relatable. He probably also has not watched Home Alone recently and probably has it written off like, oh, it's just a kid, like, you know, booby trapping a house. Whereas you and I watched that a few years ago for Christmas and relate to the mother character a lot.
Oh yeah, but my kids still
so
love
funny.
It. I think Home Alone is timeless. I'm not the only family whose kids love that movie. I mean, it's beloved. Yeah, that one. I don't think this one is at that level.
I agree with you.
Unpopular opinion, Amanda's coworker.
I will try to set the record straight to the best of my ability. That. Other random thoughts. I missed it, but apparently there's a news clip in the background at one point that announces that O'Hare is reopened and everything's back on schedule.
Oh, that's funny.
So that means that Neil and Del would have gotten home much faster if they just stayed at the Wichita airport and not done any of that. Like if they had just taken the least path of resistance.
That's funny.
They would have been home way sooner. And his coworker made it home a lot faster, even though they cut that scene of the wives comparing notes from the movie. Yeah. So, fourth thought, it's like Indiana Jones. Why are we digging up the Ark of the Covenant? You could have just left it and it would have gone a lot smoother.
Yeah.
Listen to that episode, folks.
It's an early one. Yeah.
Other thing that I missed, I turned it off too early. I didn't know there's a stinger scene after the credits. Did you stick around for it?
Oh, really? No.
It just cuts back to the boss in the ad agency from the beginning, still staring at the ad, not making up his mind,
funny.
with his Thanksgiving dinner on a plate on his
Oh my
desk
God.
because he wasn't able to decide.
That's funny because the first scene in the movie, it's like total silence and like the guy is awkwardly sitting there looking at ad copy or whatever. And it's like an uncomfortable long time. That's funny.
Yeah.
I wish I
didn't know, like, I didn't know they even did stinger scenes. Although now that I think about it, Ferris Bueller had one.
Oh, that's right.
So
they did.
Whoops. Yeah, lots of random thoughts. I have a few other kind of trivia ones.
Okay.
Super random thing I found out is that Ryan Reynolds is a extreme fan of this movie, and there's in the airport, John Candy's character Dell is reading a book called Canadian Mounted.
Which I kind of thought was funny.
Yeah, that's a great name.
I noticed that.
Ryan Reynolds also noticed that and actually licensed the exact book they used as a prop in this movie and has hidden it in all of the Deadpool movies. So Canadian Mounted lives on. And he also got the same car that they burned out in this movie and put it into the Deadpool.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that. The car like
that
exploded.
Scene was very funny.
My kids like that too. They're on the side of the road because they almost got in an accident somehow. Earlier,
I would say they got in an accident. They just didn't die, but they just very
didn't die.
Thoroughly got in an accident.
And it's a good point. The car is totally banged up at this point. But before that happened, you see John Candy flick a cigarette in the back, and then so this is like a couple of gags later. That all of a sudden they're like, God, what are we going to do?
They're sitting despondent on the side of the road, and behind them,
then the car just goes up in flames. Two of them just turn around and they look at the car like just totally on fire, and then they just turn back. They're just like, whatever, fuck it.
And the way they do it one at a time, and then they do it together. Like it's a very drawn out, like, the car's on fire, and then the other guy, the car's on fire, and then both of them, and then they just turn away.
They're like, okay.
That is a very, very funny scene. So that burned out car appears in Deadpool versus Wolverine as one of the set pieces in the background. And you just have to know that that is the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles car.
Oh, that's funny.
Since we're doing props, we did the book, we did the car, and then also the exterior of the plane when they're going through the snowstorm towards Chicago. That is the same model plane that they use in Airplane.
Oh, really?
Another throwback episode.
Listeners, we did an episode on that.
Yeah. So yeah, a little bit of Airplane in this movie and a little bit of Trains, Planes, and Automobiles in all of the Deadpool movies. And hey, we like that.
Ryan Reynolds is Canadian, right?
Canadian? All right. We always go into things that suck or are cringy in the movies we're reviewing. Jess, what do you have for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for things that are cringy?
I don't think it's that cringy. It's dated, I guess, but that's more because of the analog nature of it. And maybe this is more of a random thought, but I also thought as an adult, when you're watching it, in the same way when you watch Home Alone, you're like, good God, what is their mortgage for the Home Alone house?
The house looks the same as the Home Alone house. And it's not.
It almost does.
They are
it's
very
really
similar looking houses.
But I have the thought as an adult is like, oh my God, what is the car rental place going to charge Steve Martin for that incinerated car? They destroy part of the hotel, and like, oh God, the insurance on that, which is very adult and boring. But I guess those things don't suck. Surprisingly, it's not that cringy.
No,
but I also think it wasn't as funny. I think when you have John Candy and Steve Martin, I should at some point not be able to breathe because I'm laughing so hard, and that didn't happen for me here. So it wasn't cringy. It didn't suck. But I feel like it could have been better.
Yeah. That honestly might be because both of us were coming fairly fresh to this movie. I'm sure our expectations, mine were anyway, like through the roof, that these are two of the funniest actors in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I think they're great.
Yeah.
And in a weird, I know we just talked about Airplane, and I was very like cranky about the cringiness of some of that humor, but that humor was clever.
Yes.
And I feel like this one, there was not clever innuendo at all. It was just kind of dumb or mean and on the nose.
It didn't have that like screenplay punchiness to the way they were talking.
Yeah.
It was two flawed guys kind of having a go at each other for an hour and a half.
I guess I was kind of disappointed in that I didn't find it funny. And maybe this is because I didn't have the nostalgia for what might be iconic scenes.
Yeah, there's lines that I picked up on that I have now learned, oh, those aren't pillows is apparently iconic, but like at the time it was just like, oh, that's kind of funny. But I think for someone who grew up watching
with fresh eyes,
it's
I would be interested for people who maybe watch this more than me, if they still thought it was funny, but I was disappointed.
All right.
Yeah.
For me, again, nothing cringy here. There was a little bit more slapstick than I would have expected in this. Like there's a scene when they're getting in their car accident but not dying. Their heads turn into like skeletons for a second, and like it gets very cartoony.
Actually, my daughter mentioned that it sort of was because Tom and Jerry is now on Netflix.
Yeah.
She was like, this is very Tom and Jerry.
It did feel a little Tom and Jerry at times, which is fine, except I feel like the slapstickiness undercuts the genuine message they're trying to send about loneliness and relating to other people and bonding with other people. That seemed like a disconnect to me. But we'll counter all of this with things that you thought were great. We like to talk about how movies are awesome as their final note before we move to deciding if they live up or not.
I think it was ultimately very sweet. It ultimately stuck the landing. There was redemption and it was sweet. So I'd say that was the good part. And it was sweet without being too cheesy.
Yeah, that's absolutely where I landed with this as well. I did genuinely like You Thought It Was Mean, but I kind of thought it was a little cathartic for them to just let the insults fly at the beginning. And I don't know why I'm using the word cathartic, but like it just was refreshing.
Clearly, you need to unload on someone, whoever that someone is.
Yeah, so I have a few people I'd love to unload on, but that's not what we're here for.
You know
tonight.
what? Your anecdotes have no point.
You know
is that what you're going to say to somebody?
I'm about to get on an airplane and fly to Europe and then get on a train and then get in a car and go work there for a week and then get back in a car, back on a train and back onto an airplane and come back for Thanksgiving.
I'm not rooting for you to have like an epic travel disaster, but if you do, we're just going to have to know all about it on the podcast after doing this episode.
I will let you know, especially if somehow it has to be delivered in French or German or Swiss German. But no, I absolutely agree with you that overall this movie was unexpectedly sweet. This movie ends on such a nice note, and it really gives you that home for the holidays. And presumably they're walking into some Thanksgiving political awful situation where this uncle and that father-in-law, that all sorts of crazy could break out, but it seems very nice when they end this movie.
I had the thought for like at the last scene where they're like in Thanksgiving and there's like in-laws and parents and whatever. First of all, everyone is dressed nice and no one is drunk. So there's something wrong with this family.
Like, what's going on? So wholesome. Yeah. And they're in practically the Home Alone house. It's very fancy looking. Do we want to move to ratings?
Let's do it. So for new listeners, we will rate it 1 to 10, 1 being garbage, 10 being Princess Bride. We will rate it for does it live up to us as adults, and then do a second rating, does it live up to kids today? And then we'll decide if it lives up or not. So let's start with adults. What you got for me, Treat?
So again, first time viewing this.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
It does really make a difference. I want to give this a 6. It's the same rating I gave Scrooged, which I had more affinity for, but I do think movie. I mean, they're both very funny movies, and they both kind of end on a wholesome note, and they both have a very kind of mean-spirited main character. So
you know how I love Bill Murray for Scrooge. Yeah, I'm going to go a little lower. I actually went as low as a 4.
Ooh,
I feel like such a bitch because, and I think this was close to my Ferris Bueller rating. I know we've been mostly positive, but I kind of found it a bit milquetoast. It felt like a serviceable comedy, but didn't have any kind of like lasting iconic scene that made me laugh really hard. And maybe this is the nostalgia or lack thereof. So I'm going as low as a 4. Like I can't say in good conscience that someone my own age, if they asked me, oh, should I rewatch that? I'd be like, don't bother. Like I'm not sure.
All right.
Not don't bother. Okay, that's too harsh.
Yeah.
I would say that it's not, oh, you have to. Like it's not a must rewatch. Okay. I tell people, it's another John Hughes movie, but The Breakfast Club, I have actively told people, you should rewatch that.
You gave that it's very 9. Good. Yeah, you were way up there.
I loved it almost more as an adult than a kid. So totally different. This one, 4. Very mediocre to me.
All right. Well, we are at a 10 so far, which is completely average. um,
Yes,
and
although higher than Year Without a Santa Claus total.
oh God.
And we won't even
Yes.
talk about Ladybug's goose egg
Oh
rating.
God. Oh,
Oh,
well, I
God.
don't even want to think about that. Listeners, if you sat through our Ladybugs episode, by the way, I have re-listened to it multiple times, and I just hear our like
I
empty
edited so much of that out.
our emptiness after we watched that movie. Just the like soul crushing. Thank you for bearing with us as you heard our like hearts break and our morality shattered. It just was an unfortunate viewing experience.
Good episode, bad movie. Although you and I were pretty moody about A League of Their Own. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right, so that's a 10
That's a
for
10.
for adults.
Yes.
So same rating for kids. Does it live up to kids today? Did you want me to go first for this one?
I think I do because I have an idea in my head, but I actually want to hear what your kids thought of it. Yeah.
So a bit of a boring rating, but I went down the middle as a 5 because I think my kids were entertained enough. And certainly my son loved the dick jokes. So there's that. My daughter was entertained enough. I think she actually liked, and again, she's older. I think she liked the sweet components to it, the good landing that it stuck.
Yeah.
But I ultimately think it's just okay. Kids could watch it. And even with the fact that it's all analog and there's no cell phones, like they can still understand the plot. Again, it's missing the humor that to me, even the slapstick humor, just I've seen better.
Yeah.
So I went down the middle as a 5.
All right. I also would give this a 5 for kids. Instinctually, I think just as a kids movie, having two adult men carry the entire movie, it's an adventure of sorts, but like it's not as zany as some of the other Quest movies we've covered. I will include Pee-wee's Big Adventure in that, even though you really hated that movie. I think a lot of the humor and even the ad-libbing, that it's adults frustrated at traveling, frustrated at airports, frustrated at rental car counters, and that doesn't translate for kids quite as well as some of the other movies we've watched. So not a movie built for kids, but it's also rated R. So there we are.
There we are.
All right.
What's our total?
We're at 20. So that is exactly average for us. It's right down the middle. That is not all for us. We do ultimately vote on whether we think this movie lives up to our memories or lack of memories.
And we both have to agree for it to officially live up. And we certainly had consequences when we had 5 movies in a row live up and we had to go watch Ladybugs.
I don't want to think about that ever again.
It's a straight, which I don't think we're going to do that again. It's a straight yay or nay.
I'll go first. I actually, and this may or may not surprise you, I think this does live up, having not seen it ever before. Based on what a strong turn it took at the end, the characters grew. I wasn't actually expecting this. This was snarky and sarcastic and a lot of dick jokes all the way through. And then it took a very wholesome turn at the end. And I genuinely liked being left in that place. So that is why I'm saying it lives up. It did give me the warm and fuzzies at the end.
Yeah. So my bar is that I have to find something new to like about it. And I had seen this before, but not as much as other movies. But I thought this was too milquetoast to live up. So I'm going to tank this one and say that it didn't. It actually made me feel really bad about tanking Airplane. And I had regrets for tanking Airplane. You were like hard, it lives up. And I was like, it doesn't because it was cringy. But in retrospect, that's a clever script that has layers of humor in it. And this one just didn't. I have seen better versions of John Candy and Steve Martin. So if you like their humor, I think you should go see other movies they're in and not necessarily this one. So I'm going to be the wet blanket and say that it didn't really live up to me, even though my kids kind of liked it. But
I'm going to have to report back to my coworker that, no, we disagree. This is not better than Home Alone. The Home Alone review we gave, the score was nearly double Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I know. We were like,
we have a clear winner.
Almost a perfect score for Home Alone. And of the John Hughes movies, this might be our lowest of the John Hughes movies we've done. And we've done a fair amount. Maybe Ferris Bueller. Ferris Bueller might be the lowest. Ferris Bueller, I actively hated. Whereas this I didn't actively hate. I just thought it was like very down the middle.
Ferris Bueller, we gave a 16. So this actually
this is not
our preferred movie. If we had to sit through one of these, we would absolutely go Planes, Trains, and Automobiles over Ferris Bueller.
Definitely. So, okay, folks, I was the wet blanket. I tanked it. This officially does not live up. Wah, wah. But if you agree, disagree, was I just being bitchy? Well, don't tell me I'm a bitch, but you know what I mean. Contact us at liveuppod on all the socials, at liveuppod@gmail. Would love to know if people actually have seen it recently and totally disagree with us.
Thanks for listening.